Hey yo! In this video today, we are going to talk about why people have so many different experiences on ayahuasca and how you can actually help yourself have a really good experience if you choose to sit with ayahuasca. Before we get started, if I create any positive shifts in this video, I want you to like the video and drop in the comments below what you learned, because I want to learn how I can help you guys more and also what information to share, because all this is so profound, so exciting, and I love it. And I definitely feel called to be somebody in this earth who helps people sit with ayahuasca, because it has brought me so much clarity, so much growth, and so much personal insight as I'm getting chills that I will be forever grateful for, and I want to share with the next person. And in this video specifically, what I want to talk about is why people have so many different experiences with ayahuasca, but there is so much commonality that they're actually starting to map out kind of what happens in ayahuasca, if that makes sense. But this story goes all the way to Costa Rica. I just sat in ayahuasca, and something that I realized was I have never really had an awful ayahuasca experience. I've had a couple lessons, I've had many blessings, but at the end of it, a lot of times when I talk about ayahuasca with people, they have these horror stories. Like, they're awful. Like, you know, they were locked up and couldn't purge, which is one of the worst ones. Or they were stuck in just constant purging. Or they went to a very toxic place and they couldn't get out. Like, there's all these stories, and I'm sitting over here like, wow, that had to suck. Because I'm sitting over here as somebody who sat with Aya, and I'm like, it's beautiful. It's everything I imagined it to be. You know, it's heaven. And even though she'll take me to hell in moments, I can get out of hell like that. And then in sharing this with one of my friends who had sat with ayahuasca a lot too, she said something that created so much clarity into my life. And it's what I truly believe is sitting with ayahuasca is you're connecting to your higher self. Because, for instance, when I sit with ayahuasca, it's like my fun, crazy aunt. And I'm like a little kid Chris. And if there's something about my personality that I really enjoy, it is my childlike curiosity, where I'm like, what is that? And I get curious and I want to learn. And I'm just like so fascinated that I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I can't wait to tell people about it. Okay? So when I sit with Aya, there's this really cool phenomenon that is like, she's my crazy aunt. She's crazy, she's fun, and she's like, let's go on an adventure. And I'm like, let's go. And then we go, and then I almost get a little too childlike, and I'll be like, what is that? And then she'll be like, hey, I know you're having fun, but she'll literally like give me a little like slap on the hand and be like, hey, you're having a little too much fun, bring it back. And then I'm like, oh, sorry. Okay, let's go back. Okay? Now it flips too, which is really cool. One of my lessons with Aya in Costa Rica was she would start to take me on an adventure, and it would be aligned with something at the beginning, and then halfway through it, I'm like, hey, Aya? And she's like, yeah, Chris. And I'm like, this isn't what you said you were doing, and this isn't aligned with what we were doing. This has gotten kind of weird. And she's like, good catch. Perfect. You're catching on, right? Like, Aya will take you through these lessons, and then you have to catch her and be like, hey, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. And it's like that crazy aunt, right? You're like, hey, by the way, we're supposed to go to the ice cream store. This is CVS. And she's like, oh yeah, I had to get my prescription, whatever. You get the gist. Okay? But then there's other people that have settings with Aya, and they're like, oh my God, she was so terrible. She was so hard. Like, I wanted to throw up the whole time, and I couldn't. And you're like, what happened there? And my friend Kat really landed this lesson of why people have so many different experiences on ayahuasca, and it's very simple. What I believe ayahuasca is, and what I've really had a really profound setting of what Kat said in this, and it connected me to the full vision of it, is essentially, if you think about life and reality, it's kind of like the game The Sims, is what I like to say, is we're playing in this matrix, whatever it is. It's a simulation, whatever you believe it is. You don't have to give it any meaning. It's just this reality that we're a part of. And if you're related to the game The Sims, what we used to do is click the mouse and control the people in the game to do stuff. And to me, that is what your higher self is up here, is your higher self sits behind the computer screen and is controlling you down into the game through your intuition. So when it clicks here, you're like, I feel like I need to move over there. And then we move over there and we follow our intuition, right? So higher self's behind the screen, clicking the mouse, making us move in the game. And lower self, me in reality right now, is listening to the commands of higher self. All right? Now, what does ayahuasca come in here is it connects us from inner game self of the matrix of the Sims to the person behind the computer screen. So it creates a connection to our lower self in the matrix to our higher self. And why does this make sense to this video is, essentially, ayahuasca simply shows you who you are in your soul's essence and how you treat yourself. Does that make sense? So essentially what I'm getting at is I believe that in lessons and settings I've had with ayahuasca, they're always fun. They're always enjoyable. I'm full of curiosity. They're very playful. Yes, there's times that I push the boundary a little too far and Aya has to come in and be like, Chris, what are we doing? And then also there's times that I have to bring Aya back and say, hey, what are we doing here? This seems a little off the path unless you got a surprise to show me, right? But overall, no matter what I'm doing in ayahuasca, it's very fun, it's very playful, and it's very freeing, right? That's my personality. Now over here, my friend, you guys don't know him, but he's somebody who's very hard on himself. He's kind of harsh. He doesn't look like he's having fun. And no matter what he's doing, he's grinding through it. And that was his ayahuasca experience. And then, somebody else that I know is like, she tends to dissociate and not want to pay attention to stuff. And all of her ayahuasca settings, she tends to dissociate and can't remember what exactly happened, but will remember key insights. So across the board, what I'm really sharing with you in this video is when you sit with Aya, you get to meet your truest self. And if that truest version of yourself isn't who you really are, Aya will shake you from it. And what people's most tendency to do is to hold on tight because they're like, I don't want to create change. And Aya's over here trying to shake you and you're holding on when all she wants you to do is this, so that she can create a shift for you. But sometimes some of us are very controlling, which Aya does not like. Some of us are very negative, which Aya doesn't like. And some of us are very afraid, which Aya doesn't like. And if you're any of those, and those are key areas of your personality, you might have a little bit of a rough setting with Aya. But if you made it this far in the video, I will share with you some of the most, game-changing insight for sitting with ayahuasca. So we'll get started here. Number one, if you start having a bad setting, one thing I highly recommend is remembering the word thank you. Thank you is one of the most important words in any psychedelics, and I'm gonna share with you why. One time, I got a lesson in Aya, and I'd sat, I'll summarize this very quickly in a sense that Aya called me to watch a video on Aya, and I was like, no way. And I did it, and it was awesome, and I learned from it. And then I did it again to reinforce the lesson. But the second time, I was like, oh my God, this is so incredible. I'm so curious. And Aya was like, don't come back. So I learned my overindulgent lesson because I went back, and Aya's like, yeah, I told you not to come back. And I'm like, oh my God, I pissed off Aya. Shit, how do we get out of this? And I just said the word thank you. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you for this lesson. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will not lie, Aya goes from this big head that's screaming at me, yelling at me like I'm a little kid, to like literally like shrinking, 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 to the point that I was like, okay, Aya, I learned my lesson. I will never overindulge again. But while I'm here, there's still a little bit left. Can I have some fun with it? And she said yes. And I literally took a bad lesson and turned it into a positive lesson because I learned the keyword thank you, okay? Now, in Costa Rica, how this relates is there was one time in my journey I was starting to get locked up in purging, which was not fun, but it was a very deep lesson of get the fuck out of negativity when it shows up. And I couldn't do it. And then I said the word thank you. And I was like, oh, and the purging diffused. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this lesson. When I say thank you, the lesson softens. And I was like, thank you, Aya. Thank you. Yes. No, I'm learning. And I went from purging uncontrollably to, oh, I feel better. And I learned my lesson, right? So no matter what, when you sit with Aya, if you're having a bad lesson, if it starts to get dark and she starts to take you to a part of your personality that is really dark and hard and needs shifting, say the word thank you. And this works in mushrooms, this works in sass, this works in all psychedelics. Thank you is such a high vibrational frequency word that it can shift instantly. And it's so cool to watch it in the ayahuasca space to see how it can shift so dramatically, okay? Something else I'd say to you, if you're gonna sit with Aya, is if you start purging, pay attention to why you're purging. So for instance, because the purge can be one of the roughest things, but it can also be one of the greatest things. And for me, I was afraid of purging, but when I got locked up into it, I was instantly able to pull out of it because I was like, she's teaching me this. And what Aya was teaching me in this setting was, she took me really high, like I was 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, like living the dream, and she dropped me to a 0 instantly, and I was like, Aya, what the fuck? What the fuck? Aya, what the fuck? And the more I was getting mad at her and being negative, the more I was purging. And then it clicked, and I was like, I think she's showing me not to be so negative. So I went to positivity, saying thank you, shifted out of it. Was like, wow. And she's like, Chris, life's gonna take you very high and low. The key is when you are high, enjoy it, but know a low is gonna come. Don't create it, expect it. When it shows up, stay as positive as you can to get back up to the vibration. Lesson learned. Came in again later, I threw up once and was like, all right, let's go back up. Got that out of the way, and I wasn't locked up in purging. And essentially what that lesson is when you get stuck in the negativity, get the fuck out as soon as you can. Say thank you. Feel positive thoughts. Create joy. Create happiness. You get the gist. Don't do negative shit. You'll get stuck in it. And then I want to say that the last lesson that really pulls this all together is when you sit with Aya, you're never going to know what to expect. The best thing you can do is fully surrender. And this, I think, and I saved this for last because this is the key tip of anybody sitting with ayahuasca here, is there's a very, very simple lesson that you have to learn, that the plant doesn't have human consciousness. It does have life, right? We have human consciousness and life. So what we tend to do is when we sit with ayahuasca, when we sit with mushrooms, when we sit with any psychedelic, we are trading our consciousness for its wisdom, if that makes sense, right? And what I've learned, and this is a personal experience that I share with people very, very intimately and very deeply, is the trick to having really positive psychedelic settings, whether it be Aya, mushrooms, or anything across the board, is to fully relax and surrender. This means, yes, you can create an intention, but create an intention that opens the medicine up to teach you any lesson that you need. So for instance, when I sit with Aya, I'm not like, I need to find my purpose, my reason, and all these things. No, I'll be like, Aya, I am trading my consciousness for your wisdom, and in doing so, I will fully surrender to allow you to live consciously through me, to experience what you need, and in trade, I want you to give me all the wisdom and information that I need to move forward in life, whatever that may be. Please send it to me. So what this does is create a full surrender that I'm not looking for a specific intention, but I know what will show up is exactly what I need. And then once I take the medicine, whatever it is, I will simply lay down and work on 100% lowering my stress, my anxiety, to the point that my full body is relaxed until the medicine steps in. And when it steps in, it's a really cool shift that you can feel. And it's almost like, hi. And the avatar for me, I'm very clairvoyant. I have all the clairs: clairvoyance, clairsentient, claircognizant, clairaudient, when I sit in psychedelics, okay? But what'll happen is you can feel the medicine come in, and sometimes my body will try to like, oh, there you are, and it'll try to like shift it, and I'm like, no, no, no. So what I'll do is even relax more, because what I've seen is even in settings where the anxiety and intensity gets pushed up, or say it gets a little dark or a little hard, or I'm going through a more difficult lesson, what I've learned is the more you relax your body, the more you relax the experience, and the more you're in control of your body and understanding how to go from a fight or flight state to a rest and digest, or other words of that is from a sympathetic nervous system of like, we gotta go and figure this out, or chasing a bear, to parasympathetic, resting, digesting, relaxing, healing. You have to be able to control your body, you have to be able to control your breath, and you have to be able to shift like that. Because otherwise what will happen is, say the lesson gets a little difficult and you're like, whoa, this is hard, this is really scary, oh my God. If you can't remember to, number one, say thank you, reconnect back to your body, calm your body, calm your experience, calm your breath, calm everything to give the plant back its life. And most importantly, if I was trying to get you to let go, you need to let go, because if you don't do any of those things, you're going to have a very hard lesson. And she's going to use purging. She's going to use negative thoughts. She's going to use everything in the arsenal that you have in your experience to teach you this lesson to, number one, let the fuck go. You don't need to hold on. She is in control, and everything in this world happens for us. We actually create a lot of resistance by getting in our own way. And something that I've been fully like stepping into, this little added bonus here, is like, life does everything for me. And this took me a while to learn. Aya does everything for me. Mushrooms does everything for me. It knows exactly what I need, because I'm living in a world that I can't explain, but it can explain it to me. Does that make sense? So in knowing that, a big lesson across the board, and this is kind of like the full lesson of all this, is just fucking surrender, I've learned that I get anxiety when I need to step in and do stuff, but I've also learned if there's no anxiety, I don't need to do anything. It's almost like a vacation where life does everything for me, and then I have this little bit of anxiety come in, and I'm like, man, we forgot a task. We need to do something. I'm being called to act, and then I act, and then that anxiety fades away. And it's super cool, even to see this video, it kind of turned into a full surrender of like, that isn't what I planned on, landing this as, but it's like the importance of the message is fully surrender, let go. When you need to step in, you will know when to step in, but don't step in unless you're needed. That's called force, not power. Power is sitting back and watching and knowing when your attention is needed to intersect and when to pull it back, right? Number 2, always say thank you. If it's a negative situation and you want to get out of it, thank you is such a positive word. It's so high vibration. It'll shift you from a negative experience to a positive experience. And overall, allow yourself to meet yourself. If you're somebody who's hard on yourself, somebody who's negative, somebody who has a lot of anxiety, somebody who just doesn't live with that childlike joy and curiosity in life, Aya will teach you how to let go of that and how to step into the side of you that she's trying to show you is there. And you do that by fully surrendering, fully letting go, and letting the plant experience life through you. And the more that you can let go in these settings, and the more that you can fully surrender, the better experience you're gonna have, the better experience the plant's gonna have, and the more information and knowledge that's gonna get transferred to you because you're trading your consciousness for knowledge and information, and in the end of it, that's all you're really after. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment if this helped, and if you want me to create more of these, drop below what exactly you'd like me to create. I would love to share my knowledge, my wisdom with you that I've learned through all these plant settings because honestly, I feel like I did them to help you move forward as well. So peace out, guys. Thank you so much and have a good day.